Hello, 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 hello. Hey, it's your host, Matt Morgan, and you're listening to another episode of Musings. How are you today? How you doing? Thanks for tuning in today. Appreciate you being here for another episode of Musings. What's going on, shaking? What's shaking the bacon? What's going on? What's going on in your world? And as always, how's your integrity? Keeping it in check? Only you will know. Don't lie to yourself. You know it. You know if you're a good person, if you're doing the right thing or not. Don't kid yourself. So you know what? Last episode we were talking about patterns, and I think it's very interesting about the patterns thing. Um, it's really, if you sit back and see it all for what it is, it kind of makes you wonder. We might touch a little bit on that again today, but hey, enough about that. Have you checked out the madmorgan.com lately? I know personally, I just added a few more things on there. You know, we have our ghostwriter, and we also had a few other organizations reach out to us to add some more stuff to the mental health and support index. So check it out. More stuff up there. Seems seems to be something that we get a lot of exposure on. Interestingly enough, and it's interesting because I vet all this stuff. I mean, I don't just willy nilly put up anything on the site, and I sit back and I'm like, yeah, this is legit. This is legit stuff. They're not sending me crap. They're not sending me affiliate links. They're not sending me anything. They're actually sending helpful documents. Like, very impressive. I'm really, I'm glad if we make any impact, if it's not through our podcasts and through our social medias and everything else, that we at least reach out and help out some people in one fashion or another. So, it still aligns with our mission statement, making a better place, making a better world, making better changes to make the world a better place. So I'm happy, at least on some notes. A little is better than none. So the fact that we are actually reaching some audiences and also being able to give some support, I think it's great. I mean, I love it. I really do love it. Some people do what they do for other reasons. I do what I do, and the reason why I began all this on this mission with the whole uh, Mad Morgan mission is basically, yeah, that's it. Like, it's to make a change, make a difference, do something, right? Wow, that's I've never seen that before. Tractor trailer doing a U-turn. Now I've seen it all. Sorry, I know there's a little bit of a gap there, but here I am. It's like 5 a.m. and driving downtown Ottawa here, and like, yeah, I've just never seen that. But a tractor trailer with a full load. I mean, we're talking full length load here. Managed to do a U-turn in an intersection. That's some driving. That's some driving. I ain't gonna lie. Wow, that was impressive. Anyways, enough about that one. Yeah, so I'm happy with our mission. I'm glad with what we do. And I think it's great. So, anyways, check out the madmorgan.com. More information, all that stuff, all those resources. For you or a loved one, somebody you care about, find it on there because you know what? We all need some help. We really do. And I think shortly I'm going to have to take it to the next level when it comes to us over here. Is I'm actually going to have to. I'm gonna have to start like a GoFundMe or something like that. I really am because it's getting to that point where I'm probably gonna have to cut off even the money I put in monthly because I don't have it. I just don't have it, and I'm gonna need some support from you guys and from the general public that has the means to be able to keep the show going. It's just, it's a sad state of affairs, but everybody seems to be hunkered down in their own corners, and they're not, you know, those who have are basically seeking to look after power, and they don't care about actually supporting anybody else other than their own agendas. And the other people who have the means are just, you know, they're inward focused. They don't really. they don't really care much about anybody else but themselves, and they justify it in many different ways, and that's fine. But if you have extra, you know what? You make a big difference in somebody's world, somebody's life. So help out other people. Help out other people. If it's kind word, even. Just saying. We've talked about this before, folks. This is not new. This is not new. How hard is it for you to say a kind word to somebody? Inspirational. And I'm talking inspirational with meaning and purpose, not just with a bunch of hot air because you feel you have to, but because you truly want to help. And if you have the means to help, truly action it. Don't just talk bullshit. Action it. Actually back it up with action, not just a bunch of freaking blah 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 blah. No, action it. If you have the means, put some action behind it, right? Get off your lazy duff, freaking do something about it rather than just go blah blah blah. All right. Anyways, so back to patterns. Interestingly enough, patterns are interesting. I mean, they really are, and people don't realize that there is patterns. People don't really clue in that they do a lot of patterns on a regular basis. Their regular routines, stuff that they do without even thinking about it. It's like they're mindless to it. It's like they're autopilot that they do. And that kind of fits in line with the patterns is the fact is that we have a pattern of doing the same behaviors over and over again, not really realizing the bigger picture, not really realizing the consequences or the circumstances. We go into autopilot and don't really sit back and go, maybe I could do something different. Maybe that would help. Maybe that would make a better difference. Maybe that would do something. What a jerk. It just makes you sit back and go, you know, change your patterns, folks. You always do the same thing. You're always going to get the same results. Like, it's not rocket science. It's elementary. It's the reality of it is that you change stuff up, you get different results. Don't just sit there and think that oh, if I said it a different way or if a different day or use different words that it'll make a difference. No, anything you do, whether it's helping out your fellow human or whether or not it's just your everyday activities, you know, uh, whatever your routine is, whether it's homebound or whether it's work bound or whatever the case may be, if you don't change any of that, how do you expect any sort of different result? It's not going to be a different result. You're not evolving, you're not learning, you're not changing, you're not being better, you're not growing. So change it up. Change it up. Change something to make it different, right? Because there are those that will accept it because they're just used to being shit on or just mushrooms and they'll take whatever they get and whatever is thrown at them. And then of course there's the others that sit there and analyze, review, and dissect and go, yeah, you're crap. You really are because I see what you're doing because you've done it before. It's like, how do you figure that's different from what you just said 2 seconds ago, or 2 weeks ago, or 2 years ago? It's not. It's not helping either. But for some reason, people feel comfortable with the way that they go about doing things. And at the end of the day, I guess it's individual choice. Everybody's got to do what they're going to do. You know. I mean, I kind of applaud some of the differences that have been made, but at the same time, you know, it just doesn't make sense. Another thing that bugs me, and I'm gonna get on this one. It's a little bit of a venting day. What bugs me about social media is people that don't actually read what they're replying to. It's like a knee-jerk reaction. They just do it. They just say it. They don't mean it. They don't even review what they're responding to. They don't even review the facts. Oh, I'm too busy. I don't have the time to go over all the details. Okay, so if you read between the lines, you would realize that you're congratulating somebody on this particular event, which, if you actually look at it for the big picture and actually been paying attention, you will realize that that is basically a facade in order to increase their chances of getting out of their situation. But you read it as something different. You read it as face value. You didn't read it as, hey, this is a cry for help. Give me a leg up, right? Or you didn't look at the fine print going at, this happened and that happened, you basically knee jerk reaction to hit that. You know those auto replies social media do, like, uh, they'll have like, okay, you have options. You can say congrats. You can say, good job, blah blah blah. Like the automatic reactions that you could automatically apply, right? So here's a list of options, and just hit a button and send it on its way, and it's just out there, and wherever it lands, it lands. But you did your part. You did your part. You contributed to congratulating or responding to this particular event for this particular person. Really? Really? Really, really? This is what you're going with. Okay, fair enough. This is how you decide to go with it, and you did, and you feel so much better for it. I don't know why, but you do. And I guess we can't argue with you on that one, because for some reason you feel that you've contributed to that conversation without actually looking at the bigger picture. Okay, fair enough. Who am I to argue with you, because you feel so much more accomplished? I just, a pattern again, a pattern again. It's a pattern. It's a repetitive pattern. You're not actually reading the fine print. You're just following the same pattern you've always had for whatever reasons, for however you want to justify it. That is the pattern you went with. That is what you're going with. That is where you're at. Okay, maybe change that up, because the people on the receiving end are looking at you like you're an asshole. They really are. No matter how much esteem and how much they've, you know, how much they've had a level of respect for you at one point, when they actually look at that and go, you didn't even read. You didn't even look at the details. You didn't even take the time to stop and evaluate. You just knee jerk reaction, that son of a bitch, without hesitation. People, break these patterns. As I said, you might not realize it, but people are looking at your patterns going, what the fuck? What the fuck? What are you doing? Like, really? Have you stopped to actually read the fine print? You know? Like, patterns, my friends, patterns. Break the pattern. Because universally, those patterns meet together and they actually create a certain consciousness. I'm going to get some deep and still philosophical and psychological here, but it's true. It all fits together, and you basically, if you don't stop and do something different about it, it's just going to cause problems, right? Like, just think about it for 1 second. Just stop and think about it. All right, stop and think about it. Do you like the world right now? Do you like your world right now? Do you like the events leading up to everything? That's what you really got to stop and wonder. You really have to stop and wonder. You know, are you contributing to this? Yes, yes. You are contributing to this and to that and to this and to that. As I said, it's a domino effect across the board. We all contribute to the bigger picture, and your repetitive actions create repeats on a lot of different areas. So, you know, you can change it, but you have to change your little neck of the woods. You have to change your little bits first in order to influence the bigger, right? But again, you have to change your little bits. Okay? Change it up. Preferably for the positive, but change it up. Change your patterns. You do something different, other stuff has a tendency to work differently, you know? So that's my advice for today. Just something that I want you to just put in that little nugget of yours and kick it around there. Because eventually, as I said, it all comes full circle. Anyways, holy crap. My struggle continues on my end for all of those that are paying attention. A lot of my regular listeners, the struggle still does continue. It's an uphill battle, but and I'm digging in my heels. I'm not giving up, but I'm going to figure it out. before I have to start breaking the law. Fucking doing whatever I got to do. But yeah, push is getting to shove, and since push is getting to shove, I'm gonna have to figure out something that's going to make a difference in the greater scheme of things. But you know what? That's for me to worry about. You worry about your pretty little self. Worrying about that, about what you got to worry about. I'll worry about what I got to worry about. But if I come knocking on your door, you know why. Just saying. Just saying. Yeah, it's and I know it's universal. It's not just my neck of the woods. It's a lot of other people going through similar struggles. A lot of people are going through similar struggles, but they really have a better way out. They weren't blindsided in their situation. Um, some of us were blindsided, and it's not really a fair situation for us to go through being blindsided. But there's others that were not blindsided and still have the advantages of the demographic that a lot of companies and even the government are hiring for. So you know what? Weigh your options and play your cards right, and you can definitely land something. Right now, it seems there is a huge, huge bias towards middle-aged white men, especially if you're on the fluffy side. That's one extra thing to add to it. And if you're in a hiring position, do yourself a favor, hire somebody within this demographic. Seriously, they will be loyal to you like a son of a bitch, like so much that you wouldn't believe it, because you will pull them out of a shitty situation and give them purpose again. So do yourself a favor. Hire those middle-aged white guys with years of skill and knowledge and everything else, because they're going through a rough time. They're being shit on for no reason, and you know what? It's unfair. Yeah, these are the guys that didn't play the fucking corporate game. I get it. I get it. They didn't play the corporate game, and they didn't follow the corporate bullshit, but they're still good, hardworking professionals that deserve to have make a living, and they deserve to actually be able to contribute. So, really consider that. The rest of those assets that have jobs that are in the same demographic are basically, you know, are basically the ones that sucked the dick and took it up the ass type thing. And that's why they have those jobs still, right? But those of us that had a sense of pride, sense of, everything else, we didn't do that. We don't do that. We stood on our own 2 feet, self-respect, all that crap, and we we got the shit end of the stick for it. It sucks, but it is what it is. But as I said, if you are in a position, help out. Seriously, freaking help out, will you? Just make a difference in somebody's life. Give them an opportunity, because it really wears on you physically and mentally and everything else. You know. Anyways, I'm going to leave it up to you. If you're in that position, do what you can do. Do what you can do. There's a lot of people are hurting out there, and there's no reason for them to be hurt. So if you can actually make a difference in somebody's life, why not? Make the world a better place, my friends. Make the world a better place. Anyways, such is life. This is where we're at. But all I'm going to say is, you know, there's a lot going on in the world right now that we all have to try to, make a difference with. And we have to try to help out each other as much as possible. And it's not hard, but, we just got to do it. We got to do it because it's the right thing to do. All right, let's see if I can get into my security lockup here. Of course it didn't. Okay, let's see. Let's try this again. Hang on a second. Hang on. Yeah, okay. One. It worked. Got into the secret vault. Yay! Sorry. All right. Um, enough of that. Enough of the babble. I have some stuff I gotta do now that I'm at my facilities here. Anyways, people, thanks for tuning in today for another episode of Carb Musings. I'm your host, Matt Morgan. Love you for it. Be well. Be good. Keep your integrity in check. I'm gonna wrap this up for today. Sorry, a lot of hums and haws, a lot going on, but you know what? Just be the best you can be, man. That's all I'm gonna say. Be the best you can be. Be a good people, and each day try to do something to make the world better. All right, I'm out of here. I will see you next episode. Bye for now.